I, 27 female, split from my soon-to-be ex-husband, 27, 3 months ago on the day our son was born. This is because I'm ginger, my husband is blonde, but our baby came out with dark hair. He freaked out in the delivery room, and his behaviour got him kicked out of the hospital. I had to beg him to do a paternity test, and he finally agreed after a month, and it proved that I didn't cheat and he was the father. We'd been together since we were young teens, so I was devastated, and all I wanted was to have him back. Still, I've come to my senses and decided that someone who believes that school-level Punnett squares are the only factor in biological inheritance is not the type of person I want to be with. I was also treated by crap by everyone but my older brother, Alex, while we were waiting for the results, because they all thought I'd cheated. It was a horrible experience, and as a result I lost many friends and family members. Since the results came back, my ex has begged me to return with him. I moved in with Alex after we split, and he comes almost every day to beg me to get back with him. My in-laws have also been harassing me, especially my mother-in-law, who has come over 4 times in the past week asking me to forgive her son and to let God back into my heart. I used to be a Christian, as did all my in-laws and my family, but how I was treated when my baby was born made me lose faith quickly. The whole church community treated me like trash during this ordeal, making me want nothing to do with them anymore, and I don't want to raise my son in that sort of community. Yesterday, my mother-in-law turned up at Alex's house when he wasn't there, and she had the pastor from the church I used to attend with them. They practically forced their way in, and I was being berated like a child for not forgiving my ex's lapse in judgment. The pastor basically sat there and said I would be going to the bad place if I didn't take my ex back. I excused myself to use the bathroom and called the police. Pastor and mother-in-law were escorted out. Now I'm being harassed on social media and called and texted by everyone who knows me and my ex and his family. They're calling me the idiot for going nuclear and calling the police on 2 people who weren't being threatened, and they're demanding that I apologise immediately. I'm starting to feel bad now because I know they care in their own twisted way, and I shouldn't have gone nuclear on them. Am I the idiot? You know what? Social media is vastly overrated. Why don't you take a break from it for a week or a year or 2 and mute your phone? Nobody is saying anything new. Your husband and his community of flying monkeys treated you abominably. Thank God for DNA tests to prove you aren't a cheater. Through their actions, they all showed their butts. You don't have to accept their demand to get over it and forgive them. You are not the idiot. They practically forced their way in, means you are being held hostage in your brother's home, and that is something that you need to defend yourself from. Any one of us would have called the police in that position. You were protecting yourself and your child from trespassers, and the actions of your soon-to-be ex-mother-in-law and pastor are unforgivable. They both should be ashamed of themselves. Keep records of all harassment, including screenshots of social media comments, in case they're later deleted. It may come in handy. Holy crap, I'm so sorry you went through that. Your loving husband didn't protect you. He didn't keep you safe. He made you feel worthless and betrayed. He didn't do any of the things he vowed to do, so you shouldn't be held to the terms of that contract. Marriage. You have with him in the eyes of any good and kind lord. He may say he is sorry now, but take him to court and make him sorry. Yep, take his butt to court. Anyone who freaks out in a delivery room is an absolute idiot. The behaviour of mother-in-law is completely out of line. I would strongly consider a restraining order against her and your ex. They all showed their true colours. Ask the pastor and your mother-in-law if they harassed the father and told him to forgive you for your lapse in judgment when they all thought you cheated. If they didn't, then they're hypocrites. Funny how they didn't think he went nuclear for accusing you and then refusing to do the right thing, the DNA test, for so long. They don't care in their own way. They control and call that caring. It's abuse. Stay safe, OP. My wife passed away when my sons were 8 and 4, respectively. Since then, I've remarried, and my new wife and I have been married for some 11 years now. She was married before and had a daughter of her own from her past marriage. Her ex-husband's story is its own saga, but suffice to say he's alive but isn't in their life anymore. When we married, my stepdaughter was 12, now 23. For 11 years I tried to make some bridges, and I would get her gifts and ensure she always got what she wanted. I did everything I could to make her happy. I would drive her to school, be at her extracurricular, and pay for the nicest private schools I could. Not to mention I worked day and night so I could give her the lifestyle she deserved. My wife is a housewife, a choice she made after she voluntarily quit her job in marketing. I tried my best and treated her just like my sons, but she continued to hate me. Still, I paid for her college. I paid for both of my sons' colleges. Nevertheless, a few months back she informed my wife that she would be getting married. I only found out when my wife told me. Even more devastating was that she said she would come home to celebrate, and I bought a cake, balloons, and so much more. Then, last minute, she changed plans. She just told my wife that she should come over to her apartment without my sons and me. I was shattered. When I eventually called to congratulate her, she just tried to end the conversation as quickly as possible. The last thing I had asked was maybe the honor of having a father-daughter dance with her, which she had shot down. I said nothing, but then I got the bill for $160,000, and my wife said she needed some extra money for her daughter's wedding. I considered it long and hard, but clearly as she didn't consider me her father, I said I would not be paying for her wedding. I told my wife that she had money saved up. It was her choice to use that if she wanted, but I would not be paying for her wedding. She was furious at me. She said she barely had any money saved up, and I was an awful person. I have received calls from my wife's family telling me that I should pay, mainly her immediate family like my father-in-law and my brother-in-law. The whole thing has become a mess. It's divided our family, but I'm still holding my ground. Am I the idiot? Edit. I want to also clarify that this is going to be far from a minor financial inconvenience. While I'm sufficiently wealthy, it is still not something that will not go easy on my bank account. My wife's family is Indian. Her ex-husband was Indian and my stepdaughter is Indian. Her wedding is going to have probably around 400 to 600 people. Also, we had a baby boy, it wasn't planned and he's a toddler now, after my daughter graduated. I assure you my stepdaughter was just as cold with me before the baby, and the event at her graduation happened before my daughter knew about the pregnancy. $160,000 and you're not invited? Why on earth would you pay for this? You are not the idiot. She's used to using your money. That should have stopped long ago, but now is as good a time as any. Frankly, your wife holds a lot of responsibility as to why your stepdaughter does not respect you. It would appear you're paying for private school and paying for her college is not a good enough reason for your wife to have some very strong conversations with your daughter about respect and what family actually means. The wife is a straight-up gold digger. I really hope OP has a prenup that is enforced when he divorces her, which he very much should. I wonder if the wife's family has ever even seen OP as anything more than an ATM. Now that the ATM has refused to dispense any more money, they are furious. How much more is OP supposed to bend over backward for them? Just say good riddance, OP. You'll be better off without them. Yeah, she's Indian. We Indians are proud people, but she's none of that. She treated this generous man worse than a stranger after he spent so much time, effort and money on her. Any Indian would show at least some appreciation, or at least they would not accept so much when they can't even give a little kindness in return. But the girl kept taking everything and giving back not even a sliver of kindness. Heck, my bio dad didn't even pay for any of my college. But I need to ask, why did you ask for a father-daughter dance when you know she doesn't feel that way about your relationship? I understand and respect that you tried to treat her as your own. You treated her above and beyond when maybe she didn't deserve it. But do you feel that maybe you overstepped throughout her life? It made her so uncomfortable that she doesn't want a relationship with you? Update: am I the idiot for refusing to spend my money on my stepdaughter's wedding? After much thinking and a long conversation with my wife and I decided. Firstly, my wife understands where I'm coming from. In the original conversation with my wife, I put my foot down without properly explaining my reasoning behind that decision. I was just angry and I should have communicated better. After explaining, however, my wife sympathized with me and said she didn't know what the right thing to do here was either, but she said she'd do whatever I think is right. We came to the following conclusion. For what it's worth, we'll give her $50,000. This is more than plenty for a great wedding. It's less than a third of the $160,000 she wanted from us and a quarter of the estimated $200,000 her wedding would cost. Not to mention, her fiancé's dad is giving her around $50,000. My wife also further informed our daughter that neither of us would be attending the wedding. This was a decision my wife made of her own volition. After informing her on the call, she came to our home to pick up the check. We told her that this would be the last money we would be giving her. She stated that it was better we cut her out of our life anyway, as she didn't want me to ruin her new life. My wife and I were angry, but everyone held their tongue. Finally, she left, and she will no longer be a part of our life. Dude, I would call the bank and cancel payment on the check after her last comment. Your wife must be so proud of the daughter she raised. Jesus, you certainly are a very gracious, generous man and father who has done much to support, educate, and financially cover quite a bit. I'm completely astonished that this woman has treated you so abominably, denying that you're a father figure in her life, even though you financially support her mother and this horrible brat. The fact that she seemingly hated you yet had no qualms about taking your money is not only completely outrageous, but also extremely hypocritical. I really wish you'd refuse to pay for her. I'm truly sorry that she's been not only disdainful of your efforts but also maliciously cruel towards your feelings. Please create a will or update it that completely disowns this malicious woman. She doesn't deserve any inheritance after treating you so poorly, but it's almost guaranteed that she'll fight your bio children for whatever she feels is her rightful due. If you can easily blow $50,000, I guess that's a small price to pay to get rid of this headache forever. I hope you can move on from this and find love in your children. She isn't worth feeling sad over, OP. No offense. If she darkens your doorstep in the future, please stick to your word and don't help her. It sucks that you lost someone who you considered family, but you can now focus on your other children and give them everything they deserve. You have a lot of love to give. Save it for the right people. I, 32 male, have a wonderful wife, 30, and 2 young children, toddler females. I receive monthly royalties. I inherited part of my great-uncle's estate after his death. I will say that the amount is comparable to what my friend earns as a physician. I haven't been spending any of the money I received in royalties, but have instead just invested it for my children's benefit. In my state, the law dictates that I can will half of the community property and all of my separate property to whoever I want without being concerned about an elective share claim. So I've decided to will my separate property, the book rights and the separate investments, to my daughters. She can keep all of the community property. My wife is a wonderful woman and we've built a great life together. But prior to me inheriting my great-uncle's estate, she insisted on keeping her inheritance separate. Since she set the standard, I don't believe deviating from it now that it would be in her favor to do so. Not only that, if my wife remarries, I wouldn't want her new family, any other children she may have, to inherit the book rights. I want them to stay in my family. So I wrote up and notarized my will the other day and gave her a heads up about what would be in it. But she's been upset with what I've done. Am I the idiot? Well, there's a girl in California who lives off Peter Sellers' money, millions. She's not related to him and never met him. She's the daughter of the young wife he was divorcing when he had a fatal heart attack. He was days away from the appointment where he would rewrite his will. His own children got $800. Leave the royalties to your children so they can leave it to theirs. You are not the idiot. Let's see here. He rewrote his will to leave his estate to his much younger wife, thereby cutting his own children out. He did that. I'm sure she loved him for him and not his money. The article says they were getting divorced, and there were years, at least one, for him to change his will during that process. Yet he never found the time to rewrite the will, so that's on him again. I feel for his kids, but their dad did them wrong. OP, you're just keeping family money in the family. Info, is her will the same? Is she willing to give her inheritance and whatnot to your daughters if she dies? Or would that go to you? I can't really make a proper judgment without knowing that she's done the exact same thing legally that you have. She doesn't have a will, and my brother will take care of everything in case something happens to me. You are the idiot. Who gets the wife's inheritance when she dies? Instead of making wife executor, he named his brother. Sure, you love your wife. Sounds like you're trying to cut her out. You may not need to worry because with this will screwing her, she will probably divorce you. You're telling her you do not trust her. There are many details you're deliberately leaving out of your story, OP. This is very disingenuous. You made your brother the executor of your will and left everything for the kids, but you benefit from her because she doesn't have a will, and you get her estate if anything happened to her. You didn't discuss anything with her and didn't even consider her family enough to do so. Do you like and trust your wife? I don't understand your nasty treatment of her. My toddler daughter has been in home daycare for a few months now. The teacher, Sasha, is very nice. I am normally all for my daughter cleaning her messes. However, I find when I arrived, Sasha expected my daughter to finish cleaning up whatever she was playing with, which again would be fine, but it delays us getting out the door and heading home. Sometimes we have plans, etc. I started texting Sasha when I was so many minutes away, asking her to get my daughter ready, and that seemed to work. My daughter would be in her jacket and reading a book, easy to put away versus a huge Duplo project or similar. Until today, things were crazy and I was in a rush. We had a lot to do this afternoon and I ran behind because of car trouble. When I arrived, my daughter and some friends were in the middle of cleaning up a big mess. I told my daughter we had to go get her coat. Sasha said she needed to finish cleaning up her part. I said any other day, sure, but I'm running late and we cannot miss this appointment. Sasha tried arguing that the kids need to learn responsibility, and I flat out said no. I grabbed my daughter, put her coat on, and left. As I said, hectic afternoon, so I only just now had time to check my texts. I had one from Sasha saying poor planning on my part doesn't mean I can break the rules. I pointed out that this is not in the contract, and I can bring my child home whenever I need or want. She accused me of undermining her authority. I was given a verbal warning, which I found ridiculous. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I completely agree with the daycare teacher's sentiment, but it is your kid and you can leave whenever you damn well want. Just need to be kind and respectful about it. Daycare pickup should not take 20 minutes. Working parents must get home, run errands, make dinner, do extracurriculars and have quality time with their children. That 20 minutes of waiting around at daycare really cut into a person's tight schedule. Perhaps the teacher shouldn't allow messy or busy activities after 4:30 p.m. and instead encourage reading, simpler toys or things that are easy to put away in a hurry. Disagree. OP's the idiot. It's not a waste of time to teach children that if they make a huge mess, they need to help clean up. If they leave without helping, that leaves more work for their friends, which doesn't make your kid popular. I'm a mother and I understand there's a lot to do at the end of the day. I also work in after-school care, and if kids don't contribute, we must stay late and waste our time. Care providers aren't servants. Yep, you are the idiot. Also very short-sighted. You're using a home daycare. If the provider doesn't like you, you will probably lose your spot without enough notice to find somewhere else. Play nice with the people you rely on, or you will have more to complain about than a hectic afternoon. A lot of appointments are more important than cleaning up a mess. It was the daycare provider's choice to do something messy. It was not OP's choice to have car trouble. As OP said, it was an appointment they couldn't miss. It was, however, a mess that an adult could take care of at once. OP, she's looking after your child, but she doesn't have authority over you. And verbal warnings? She's on a power trip. I hope your car troubles are resolved. My fiancé's family invited us to go with them on a little vacation. They told us not to worry about money because they covered the Airbnb, so all we would have to pay for was gas. It's a 19-hour car drive. We arrived last Wednesday. My in-laws are so overbearing. Like if I go and take a shower, they knock on the door within 3 minutes to check on me. If I go to the bedroom to have a minute to myself, they yell up to me within 5 minutes to see if I'm good. If I say I need to walk to clear my head, they follow me and make it a family thing. If I want to go sightseeing, they immediately get ready to go too and coerce us to go to the sites they think I will enjoy, versus what I would actually like. They sit there and talk to me and won't let me go to bed until after midnight, and then they knock on the door at 6 a.m. to get my fiancé and me downstairs for coffee, and they don't stop talking from sun up to sundown. I'm an introvert. I need space to refill my social bar, and since I've been here I haven't had a moment to myself. I mean, not even being able to take a shower without being harassed is making me angry. I talked to my fiancé about it several times, and I told him more than once that I need me time. I need to stop being followed. I need to decompress. His way of combating this was to be up my butt 24/7 and continuously asking me if I was okay, or to chew me out about how annoyed he was becoming. Not helping at all. I've told him that. But after being followed when I was on the phone and having his mother try talking over my conversation, it was the final straw. I packed my stuff and went to a hotel by myself. The $250 of my money to get home was now spent because I needed to get away before I lost it. My fiancé knew I was beyond tapped out and I warned him this would happen, but apparently he didn't believe me. So now he's shocked that I would do this, make everything awkward for him and spend my portion of the trip money. Am I the idiot for spending all my money that was supposed to be used to get us back home? Edit, I mentioned to my in-laws a few times that I needed space to decompress. They didn't listen. Not the idiot. The in-laws seem unbearable, the fiancé seems insensitive, and you just seem to be fooling yourself if you think this situation will get better when you were pushed to spend $250 just to escape his family. If your fiancé tried to understand you and fix the situation, I'd say something different. Do yourself a favor and end this relationship. If you get married to him, this will be your whole life. Can you imagine if they have a baby? Seriously, can you imagine how exhausted she would be if she and her partner had a kid and lived close enough to the in-laws that they would always be over? This sounds like an absolute nightmare. You need to have a serious conversation with your fiancé, hun. The fact that he participated in harassing you until you snapped after you warned him you were at your limit is entirely unacceptable. As an introvert myself, I could feel my stress level rising, and I just wanted to cry reading this, and I'd be having a real long and serious talk with that fiancé of yours because he should have been 100% in your corner and told, yes, told, not asked, his family to back the heck up and let you breathe. Short and simple, you specifically asked them for space and they kept pestering you. You did what you did with your money. It's yours. Feel free. My parents are divorced. Together they have my brother, 20, my sister, 19, and me, nearly adult male. Their marriage ended because my mom had 2 affairs. The first one came out when the second one did because both were happening at the same time, and my mom got pregnant with a baby who's now a female tween. Dad ended the marriage, and Mom tried to make him responsible for her baby with another guy. She and Dad were married, so he was the assumed dad, and he had to go to court. There was a 2-year battle over this because he wanted nothing to do with the baby, and Mom didn't want her to grow up watching my older siblings. I have a dad while both her affair partners went AWOL and were refusing to play any role in her life, and she said no to doing DNA tests. Dad won in court and was removed from my half-sister's birth certificate. He's never met her and has ensured there's no contact between them. 5 years ago, Mom got very sick and was in the hospital for 3 months. My half-sister spent that time in foster care because our grandparents were told they were too sick, multiple chronic health issues between them, to take care of her when they had no idea how long Mom would be out of commission. They asked Dad to step up, but he said no. They tried to plead with my siblings and me to talk him around, but none of us wanted him to take her either. When Mom got out and got my half-sister back, she and my grandparents held a deep grudge against my dad. We already didn't think much of Mom, but after that, we asked Dad to try and get full custody of us. But when we were interviewed, we mentioned the affair, and we were asked whether Dad tried to turn us against Mom, and we decided to keep 50-50 to not get him into trouble. I'm months away from getting away from Mom. My siblings already are. Mom had people over recently, and my grandparents were there. They were talking badly about Dad, saying he was evil and that he left his own daughter to rot in foster care. And I told them she wasn't his daughter and DNA proved that. They backtracked and said he left his kid sister to rot. I said she was nothing to do with him. Then I called them out for being idiots to him when Mom cheated on him with 2 guys and fought to make him responsible for her child. I said they all blamed Dad instead of wondering why nobody was willing to take my half-sister when needed, and none of them could. Others heard the whole thing. My mom and grandparents said I was an idiot. Am I? Not the idiot. You didn't say anything that wasn't true. The truth hurts. That's probably why they were so upset, because they knew you were right. Speaking out isn't even a fraction of the horrible stuff your mother tried to pull on your father. The good news is, in a year, you won't have to deal with them anymore. But wow, your poor little sister. I feel so sorry for her. It's heartbreaking that nearly everyone in this child's life has rejected her, all because of how she was conceived. It's a shame for the half-sister, though, having to be in foster care, but to blame your father rather than the deadbeats and trying to manipulate you guys into talking into taking her in was truly an idiot move on the grandparents' part. Yeah, it's devastating for the poor kid, but utterly shameful that the people who should be working hardest to protect and support her are concentrating on ripping down someone with no obligation to protect or support her instead. OP, you're very brave and you sound like quite a moral person. I wish you all the best in life. Keep your integrity, and may the coming years be more peaceful. I, male 33, am a single dad to my daughter, Teen. She's my buddy, and I honestly love her so much. My sister, female 38, has 3 boys and has made being a boy mom her entire personality. She always goes on about how she loves being a boy mom and how raising boys is so much easier than having a girl. I usually just ignore it. My daughter is a huge Taylor Swift fan, and I took her to the opener night of the Eras tour. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, honestly, but it was really fun seeing my daughter have so much fun and just overall being so happy. Last night I was over at my mom's and my daughter pretty much only wanted to talk about the concert. My sister happened to be there too. My daughter talked about having to wait about an hour to get merch. My sister laughed and ended up going on a rant, saying how she's so glad she doesn't have a daughter and how easy it is to raise boys compared to girls. She even went as far as to say she felt bad for me having to be a girl dad. My daughter didn't want to talk anymore and was clearly upset by my sister's words. That was very upsetting to me. I told my sister she was wrong to say those things, especially in front of my daughter. and that she's toxic and honestly stupid for thinking raising boys is easier than raising girls. I told her she needed to find a new personality outside of being a boy mum. She ended up leaving while calling me the biggest idiot. My mom also accused me of being rude and an idiot because my sister just loves her boys, and I shouldn't judge her for thinking girls would be more difficult to raise. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It sounds like your sister is projecting. If she had 3 kids on purpose, she 100% wanted a girl and never got one. So now that she's done having kids, she's using her anti-girl rhetoric and boy mum perspective as a coping strategy. That's just a guess though. Either way, it's super weird of her to hyperfixate on the gender of her children that much and just plain rude to impose that on your daughter. Good for you for standing up for her. Or she's just a filthy misogynist. Unfortunately, some people actually think the way this sister does, and it was super important for OP to say that in front of the daughter. That kind of talk is damaging to young girls. Lots of people think boys are easier to raise just because they only bother to parent girls and do nothing with their boys. Oh my god, this. Anyone who thinks boys are easier to raise is dropping the ball massively. Gender is irrelevant. Children are individuals. OP, she basically laughed at your daughter's personality and interests. You weren't rude because she loves her boys, you were rude because she insulted your daughter. In front of her. And your mom is an idiot, lol. Wow, she's actually defending the same bad behavior in your sister as you're being accused of. Very toxic and pathetic. I'm child-free. I like kids, I just don't want to bring one into this world. I have a sister and a brother. My sister is also child-free, but my brother has a teen daughter. We love our niece and we like to spoil her. For her birthday, we decided to buy a car for her, which made her very happy. I married my wife a year ago after dating for 13 years. She has a daughter and a son from her previous relationship. I like her kids and I think we generally get along. Her daughter had a birthday, teen, a week ago, and I bought her a nice bag that she said she wanted. I thought it was a good and thoughtful gift, but my wife looked shocked. She didn't say anything in front of the guests, but after the party was over, she blew up at me and called me an idiot. She said they expected a car since I bought a car for my niece. We fought and she's not talking to me now. Am I the idiot? LMAO, imagine your partner saying that they're child-free when you all have been together 13 years, and your child was only 3 when you got together. You are the idiot, and dude, you aren't child-free. You have a stepdaughter and a stepson that live with you. You've clearly failed to communicate your intentions as a child-free individual. Your wife is expecting you to treat the kids as family, and my answer is rightly so. Why on earth did you get involved with a parent if you wanted to stay child-free? Good parents put their kids first. And yes, expecting a car is entitled as heck, but the issue is your lack of communication on everything. I say this as a sterile child-free man. Either you don't get involved with parents if you want to stay child-free, or you leave the bandwagon and become a parent. Both are valid options, neither are bad, but if you're going to be with parents, you better damn well be putting those kids first. Disagree. OP's not the idiot. Stepdaughter has a mother and presumably a father. Even as a deadbeat, she still has a mother. Why isn't mommy forking out for it? A big red flag that she just assumed you would buy one without a discussion, and your niece's car wasn't even bought 100% by you, as you stated. P.S. Sounds like you married a gold digger. A gold digger? Like, men are damn well crazy. To think that a woman would be with you and be loyal to you for 13 years, only for you to have the gall to turn around and call her a gold digger after all that. So what, she invested 13 years of her life for her to gain the sweet, sweet prize of a random car? Get over yourself. OP's the idiot for saying he's child-free when he's married to a mother of 2 kids. I, 50 female, have been in a relationship with my husband, 52, for several years. We've been married a year and there have been many gift-giving situations throughout. I've always been the one to make things happen. Someone wants something and I figure out how to get it done. I've always been involved in the gift selection process for his children, who are both in their mid-late 20s. So here is my issue. In each of these instances, I do not get a thank you. I barely get a vague acknowledgement. I did get an awkward, thanks, I guess, on one birthday. Gift-giving has been mostly initiated and pre-planned by me. I usually enjoy it. I know it's not that the gifts haven't been good gifts. However, on more than one occasion, I've overheard one or both of them bragging about what their dad got them and how he's really stepped up his gift-giving game these days. It's hurtful. Most recently, his kid had a baby shower, and there were multiple tables full of gifts from 55 different people. 54 of them got a thank you. Guess who didn't? The slight was so obvious that another woman turned around, laughed and said, "They didn't say it, so I will. Thank you." Yeah, not funny, but I'll play it off. It's all good, ha-ha pregnancy brain. I get excited about gift giving and how much they'll love something, and I just end up feeling lousy afterward. Honestly, now that I'm typing this out, I realise they know proper etiquette. It really is, they just don't think it applies to me for some reason. So, am I the idiot for telling their dad that I will never disapprove of any money he wants us to spend on anything he wants to give his children? I'm just no longer comfortable putting myself in that position when there's so little or no appreciation. I will try to thicken my skin over this, and I'm hopeful that eventually I'll resume my current level of active participation. But for now, it's okay to step back, right? Not the idiot. You really need to stick to your guns on this one. Your husband has really failed you and should support you 100% on this, but he'll try to guilt you and so might others. So seriously, don't go buy any gifts for them. Buying them gifts has certainly yet to garner even a basic modicum of respect. And that goes for a bit the recipients and for your husband. Some life lessons are best learned the hard way. Yes, it sounds like hubby enjoys the praise for her work. That's about as greasy as it gets. OP, please step back. This is causing you pain and feeling resentment. It's not worth it because it's very clear that the children know you're doing the gift giving and are purposely not thanking you. By continuing to give gifts, you're just setting yourself up for more hurt and emotional pain. One idea: you're great at gift giving. Perhaps find children who need and will appreciate the gifts, e.g. hospitalized children, children in need, etc. Your husband's children aren't interested. Also, get counselling. Your husband isn't standing up for you and that needs to be addressed immediately. Yeah, I'm at a loss over their rudeness. Unless you're the reason their parents' marriage ended, this is the only explanation that makes sense, but you do not address it in the story. I'm curious to know if the answer will shift perspective on who is the idiot. OP, what were the circumstances of their parents' divorce? Did you know your husband before his divorce? If so, do they feel you contributed to it? Something deeper is happening here.